Welcome to Hollers and Hills, the podcast that takes you deep into the heart of East Tennessee's Great Smoky Mountains. The tourism hub welcomes millions of visitors a year, but it's also home to generations rooted in its Hollers and Hills. Join us as we uncover centuries-old rural communities, share rich history, and explore landmarks and attractions old and new. Meet the passionate craftsmen, entrepreneurs, and community leaders dedicated to preserving this beautiful region for future generations. Get ready to pack your bags and create your own mountain memories. Hollers and Hills is sponsored by Compass Ventures, a leading developer in Sevier County, helping to navigate your next trip to the Smokies. Dollywood is the largest attraction in Sevier County and, like its namesake, an international hit. Every year, millions travel from around the globe to visit Dolly's theme park, a 165-acre playground in the Great Smoky Mountains. Recently, TripAdvisor named Dollywood the #1 theme park in the U.S. and top 10 in the world. In this episode, we look at the success, storied past, and future of Sevier County's largest employer. And Dolly's niece even gives us a behind-the-scenes tour of the new Dolly Parton Experience. Hello and welcome to Hollers and Hills. I'm your host, Beth Haynes, alongside Austin Williams, and we are thrilled to welcome Pete Owens, who is Vice President of Marketing at Dollywood. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you guys today.
It has been another great year at Dollywood. Congratulations on 2024. I mean, each year you outdo the year before.
Well, I mean, from a product standpoint, great year. We did the Dolly Parton Experience. Tremendous product. Was an opportunity for us to really kind of evolve what's been a part of Dollywood for its entire 39 years, which has been some kind of museum for Dolly.
I want to talk more about the current attractions in a moment, but we've got to talk about the history of Dollywood. It is a powerhouse theme park today, but it wasn't always. And dates back 60 years. I know, Austin, I'm older than you. I remember coming to Silver Dollar City as a kid and the train, but it dates back even before then.
There's been something on that property since the mid-1950s. So the Robbins brothers that built Tweetsie Railroad purchased the property, went in, they laid the rails for the train experience, and they opened Rebel Railroad in 1960. And it was really a traditional kind of Southern experience. And it was a train, the same exact train layout. We haven't changed anything in however many years that is. But the experience on the train has changed. And actually the train cars have changed, but the engines really haven't. They had a single engine. It's a narrow gauge. They're Baldwin steam locomotives, and took you up the hill. There was a little bit of a Civil War battle in the Rebel Railroad experience, and then where the depot is still was the depot then, and there was some experience in that area, but not a whole lot. And then Art Modell bought the property from the Robbins brothers. You might know Art Modell is the owner of the Cleveland Browns and then the Baltimore Ravens. He wanted a train. And so he bought himself a railroad and converted Rebel Railroad into Gold Rush Junction. And he took advantage of all of the westerns that were on TV at the time in the mid-1960s and early 1970s. So it was really a Western-themed area. He started to develop what is the village area of the park now, started the area, put in the log flume that was there originally, some other carnival flat rides, and moved what is the Robert F. Thomas Chapel into that area in the valley and started to develop the valley and operated that park until 1975. And in 1975, Jack and Pete Hershend, who founded Silver Dollar City with their mother in 1960, decided they wanted to expand their business. They were already in the water park building business, and they wanted to build another theme park, and so they located this area, thought it was very similar to the Ozarks, and liked the people, liked the property, liked the opportunity. And so they bought the property, operated it for 1 year as Gold Rush, and then opened as Silver Dollar City, Tennessee in 1976. I mean, they were doing 600,000 people a year in basically a summer and fall season. But there's this lady named Dolly Parton that told Barbara Walters in about 1982 that she was interested in building a theme park in her home area.
Even named it?
Well, she did. She said she wanted to call it Dollywood. She was inspired by the sign in Los Angeles that she replaced the H with a D in her mind and decided that that would be what it is. She described it as a Smoky Mountain fairyland like Disneyland. And she was pretty well down the road with that idea. There were some investors that were going to build it. They actually had located a piece of property that is off 321 in Gatlinburg. And then Ted Miller, who was the general manager of Silver Dollar City, Tennessee, and is now Dolly's representative for us and has been for nearly 40 years, caught wind of it, decided that probably this market at that time was not capable of supporting 2 theme parks, and thought it might be a good idea if maybe the Herschens met Dolly and there was some sort of conversation, which is exactly what happened. She was on tour with Kenny Rogers. They went to Denver to meet her, had a conversation, and basically said, you know, this town ain't big enough for the both of us, so why don't we combine the effort? And so she invested in the business, and Dollywood, a Tennessee joint venture, was created, opened May 3rd, 1986, and we doubled attendance from the last year of Silver Dollar City to the first year of Dollywood in the first year.
And they remain partners.
Correct.
Today.
Yeah,
the Herschen family and Dolly Parton.
Same partnership agreement exists, still a Tennessee joint venture, and where Dolly is the marketing and creative partner and the Herschens are the operating partner. So the way I'd like to describe it to people that are really unfamiliar with it is the Herschens do all of the stuff that's related to business. Keep the hot stuff hot, the cold stuff cold, everybody paid. Works on, the theme park stuff, the ride stuff, all of that stuff. But when it comes to the creative of what are we going to do, what's the story behind it, how does all of that work, or what's the aesthetic, or what's the history of it, or how can we tie this in? She's involved in all of those conversations. And it's been a very successful partnership. So from a very localized park in 1986 to where we are now, so imagine, say, 1.1 million guests in 1986 to almost 3.5 million guests at the Dollywood Park, and so over 4 million guests total within our park complex now, the number one TripAdvisor park in the U.S., and lots and lots and lots of accolades. We won the Golden Ticket last year's Best Park of the World, Best Entertainment Park, all of those things.
I've got the whole list here: National Geographic, Forbes, Southern Living.
Absolutely.
I mean, every award out there basically.
Well,
beat out Disney World.
Oh, well, I mean, our experiences are much different. Disney is to magic that Dollywood is to love. And so what we try to do, we say Dollywood love every moment, and we mean it. It's the opportunity that we want our guests to come, no matter where they're coming from or what their life is like, feel welcome in a non-judgmental, loving atmosphere that shows true Southern hospitality. And we want an authentic experience. So one of the other big differences between us and Universal and Disney is it's not made up here. The experience is authentic. You walk the valley, you're in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. the artisans we have are making things that have been made here. We don't have made-up characters. The stories we tell are Smoky Mountain stories and Dolly Parton stories, and Dolly stories are Smoky stories. It's our variety of attractions. Our ride attractions are incredibly varied compared to a lot of other parks. Our show product is incredible based on other parks in the U.S. We do more performances a day than any other theme park in the United States. The music you hear is much of it from the mountains, bluegrass, country, old-time rock and roll. And then when we built our resorts, the idea was, how do we make that experience that we've created at Dollywood be a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week experience? And we've been trying to pick our spots to be able to do that. And so it's much more planful than it ever has been.
How much is still undeveloped?
We have hundreds of acres. So for, 20 years of park operation, the park was up and back, right? So it was kind of a inverted T. And we started in 2004 to tie that loop together so that there would be a loop in the park, so there would be a little better flow. So put in Thunderhead, originally put in Timber Tower, and then Mystery Mine, and then we've since replaced Timber Tower, put in River Battle the year that we connected the valleys, and then when we added Wildwood Grove in 2019, we basically are developing another park along Wildwood Grove, and it's Big Bear Mountain was Wildwood Grove Phase 2. The 2026 project we have is Wildwood Grove Phase 3. There's a Phase 4 parcel there across the road. And, the goal is that, we become the preferred family destination in the United States.
I don't know if the purpose or the mission is still creating memories worth repeating.
It is. That's still the mission of the company.
Yeah. And it's just so clear in the things that you're telling us here today that shines through in what your focus is on. Talk a little bit about that and how that flows throughout the company.
We kind of really spelled it out as that probably about 15 years ago. But the creating memories worth repeating has been the mission of Dollywood and really most of the Herschend properties since the mid-'80s. So Ken Bell, who was the original park president, was with some other folks within the Silver Dollar City Company at the time. But Ken was really the driving force behind Memories Worth Repeating. He's the one that kind of coined that, and the fact that that's really what we're in business for. But one of my favorite stories is there's a young lady named Mary, and she's an intellectually disabled person that was nonverbal. And her parents, but she loved music, okay, but was totally nonverbal. And so they had taken her a lot of different places to vacation and to try to pour into her so that she would have a quality life. And they came to Dollywood and they rented a cabin, and you could see almost immediately from what they say that she was different when she came to the park. And by the time that their visit ended, she was kind of a different person. So they decided to move to Sevierville to be close to Dollywood so they could come. And they're regulars at the park, and Mary's no longer nonverbal.
Wow.
And she interacts with our hosts at the front gate and knows everybody.
how can you not be inspired?
Right, 100%.
You know, how can you not be inspired to go to work, be excited about what you're doing?
We really have worked to try to take care of our hosts because, I mean, they really are, I mean, they're our special sauce. They're the ones that get it done every day. They're the ones that are forging those one-on-one relationships with our guests. I mean, we have almost 4,200 employees now, and we have dorms and a lot of international folks. But imagine those folks that are from here, the salt of the earth, the folks that really understand it, working shoulder to shoulder with somebody from Taiwan or Jamaica or the Dominican Republic, and how that all comes together, and how they're not only touching the lives of our guests, they're touching the lives of others.
You talk about non-judgment, loving everyone, living her faith each and every day. That's Dolly. And I cover the park 2 decades. We worked together quite a bit. She's present. I don't remember, because the last 5 years, you're guaranteed to have multiple visits of Dolly at the park. And it feels like that's more frequent than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
You know, it's interesting too, because she's always here at opening. I mean, and she's always been here at opening. But it really depends on what she's doing, what's going on with other parts of her work. But the busier she's become, the more important it's been for her to come back to the park. And
Seems to be priority for her.
It has really become that way. There are folks that are coming from all over the country, and they're coming and they're staying with us. They're staying in the hotels locally. If they're not staying with us, they're going to other attractions. They're eating in the market. So, you know, the fact that we've been able to grow our business, I think, has also benefited the community a great deal, which goes back to what her original mission was of even wanting to do it. She wanted to create jobs in the area. She wanted to grow the area in which she grew up. We have been blessed that we've been able to fulfill that part of her dream.
Speaking of the Dolly Parton Experience, the new attraction for Dollywood in 2024, I've visited its behind-the-scenes exhibit with Steve Summers, who's creative director for Dolly Parton Enterprises. He's basically Dolly's right hand.
We had a museum here for many, many years called Chasing Rainbows that I worked on. And, museums go in a cycle of about 5 to 10 years before they revamp it. And that one went for 22 years.
A long run.
It was a little bit long. And so when they decided to revamp it, they said, well, let's go for it. Let's really do something big. And so they took one museum and turned it into 3 different exhibits now. So it is vast. There's a whole experience section, there's a clothing section, and then there's a family-based section. And each one of them is amazing. Yeah. And, watching Dolly watch them and squeal and, again, pieces of her life that she's watching. It's just emotional. I think the guests here at Dollywood are going to love it.
You talk about that emotional connection. Mm-hmm. You can't help but feel like Dolly is in this room.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully done, too. The whole team here at Dollywood, Cindy McCormick, Amy Owenby, who put all this together, it's really overwhelming. People look through all these displays and they think about the different projects that went through it, but to me, this has just been my life. I've spent almost my entire adult life with Dolly. I started working for her companies when I was 26 years old. And so it's been quite a journey for me, and I see bits and pieces in everything. So it's fascinating.
Is there a dress, a fabric, a shoe, a wig that is your favorite?
No, there's not, because I'm always thinking about the one that I'm doing next.
Okay.
If you churn out 300 outfits a year, you're talking about there's one in production every day. Every day. Uh-huh. So that's a lot of thinking, and so I'm not one of those people who looks back. I don't have time to look back. I'm trying to get us where we're going next.
I don't think you sleep.
Yeah, well, no, I'm a pretty good sleeper. But you can't look back. You have to keep going forward and figure out where, because Dolly's driving this train, and we're just shoveling coal as fast as we can go to keep the engine running so we can get where she wants to go.
Was there one thing that you said that we have to include this in the Dolly Parton Experience?
No.
Okay.
No, because every outfit is just as important. You know, if I look at things and I go, this is the most important thing we're going to do this year, then that means 299 of them aren't.
Right.
And I don't look at it like that. I really look at it like everything we do is the most important outfit for the day. Which is also how Dolly sees her fans. You know, whoever she's talking to is the most important person in that world at that moment. And I look at this the same way.
Yeah. You guys are a great duo. How long have you all worked together?
Well, I started working for her on May 6th of 1991 is when I started working here. And been with her ever since.
You were a performer?
I was a singer-dancer here for 10 years, and then I was the entertainment manager for 5 years. And then I left and went to Nashville and worked just with her.
Anything branding with Dolly, any big project, you are a part of every single thing she does, right?
Anything that has to do with the branding of anything. So I don't design all the clothes. I mean, sometimes I hire other designers to do things. It depends on what we're up to. I do design a lot of them, about 300 a year outfits. So it is a lot of clothes that we produce. But there are other people that we use and still use all the time that are fantastic designers.
You do a lot of her shopping, right? She's very petite. I read that you buy children's clothes often
all
for
the
her.
time. You know, one of my grandkids is about the same size as Dolly now.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and I take her pants. Sometimes I go, give me those pants and I'm going to give those to Dolly. So yeah, do it all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so this is open. You've got the big project in Nashville. Let's
Yes.
talk about some things there. I know you can't give all the details, but let's talk about some of those projects.
We've got the hotel in the works, a new museum in the works, Broadway in the works.
Yeah, she's going to be shopping the show.
She has a new perfume that launches in August, and then another one that launches in December. Makeup line starts in August. We have this whole perfume campaign, and we have a cosmetic campaign that's coming out. We have pots and pans and Duncan Hines, and you know, there's lots and lots of different things that we go. And I work with all of those different teams to make sure that they're getting the Dolly Parton that the consumer is looking for at that particular moment. But there's a common thread that goes with all Dolly Parton and products of any kind, and that's the emotional thread.
Sure.
Everybody feels an emotional connection to Dolly Parton. And then my job is to make sure that our partners understand that and get us there.
Dolly's niece, Rebecca Sievers, also helped curate the Dolly Parton Experience. She is Director of Archives and Museum Services for Dolly Parton Enterprises. And walking through this attraction is truly like walking down memory lane for her as well.
It's finished.
I know.
It's kind of emotional for you.
It is. It is, definitely.
Talk about why.
Because Dolly means so much to me. If I talk about it too much, I will get emotional. But she means so much to everybody. You know, she's my aunt, but she's the world's Aunt Dolly. And so carrying her story to the people is such a sacred thing. And I love it. I'm so happy that I get to do this.
What in the world was it like growing up as Dolly's niece?
It was sparkly and exciting and kind of everything you could imagine it to be. She was very childlike, and she still is. You know, she's just one of the kids. She wants to play. She has a golf cart at her farm, so we would always, you know, ride golf carts at her house and play dress up in her clothes. And she's still like that. Even with the archives, she still brings her little great nieces and nephews to play dress up in her closet.
And you have a very close relationship with her.
Yeah, people know how special the aunt-niece relationship is, especially when you have a lot of family. And for me, she's like a second mom. Her and my Aunt Rachel are like second moms. And I say that, not that my mom ever needed help, but I was a handful, so she probably appreciated the help. But Dolly's my godmother, and she and I have always had a very close bond, and it's very sacred to me because it's different from the Dolly Parton that everybody knows in the public. It's my Aunt Granny, and like, she's not different, but it's different for, you know, the communication that we have, and just shows how much she knows me before I even know myself. You know, it's one of those kind of mother-daughter relationships almost. You know, whether you go to her for professional or personal advice, she gets it. And you got to be careful, though, because she will write a song about it.
What are your favorite memories with Dolly? I know she's talked about over the years making Christmas cookies and...
Oh, cookie night is always some of my best and favorite memories. But I love being on the bus with her. We used to go on road trips, or I used to go on tour with her in the summer if I was out of school. And so just being on the tour bus with her and playing in the bunk beds. And we used to have tea parties with her backup singers. And so like those kinds of things were fun. And now that tour bus is on park at Dollywood, and I walk in there and it's just like all these childhood memories flood back, and it's just surreal in the weirdest kind of way.
I can't imagine all the time, the effort, the artifacts that have gone into the design. How did this all begin?
It was years ago, before the pandemic. We wanted to do an update at Chasing Rainbows. And when we got in there and started kind of updating some of the graphics, I realized that it didn't need a makeover. It needed a complete overhaul. And, you know, I think her creative director, Steve Summers, he saw that as well. And so we kind of put a plan together and conceptualized a lot of what is here now and brought it to Dollywood and said, like, here's our wish list. This is what we really want. This is what we think Dolly needs. And, you know, they did it. They understood. And, you know, the CEO, Eugene, he gets it. He understands Dolly and the need for her presence on park and how much people adore her and want to see her. And having her museum here is like having her here almost.
How did you choose what goes on exhibit and what doesn't?
That's the hardest part. It's like Dolly says, like, her songs are her children and they're all her favorites. Like, her clothes are like my kids and they're all my favorite, you know, like it's very hard to choose. But we wanted to showcase things from all the different eras of Dolly. And so we also wanted to showcase different designers that she's had and make sure that people get their flowers that deserve them, like the bell bottoms, you know, the Lucy suits. And so making sure that, you know, her life is represented in the clothes and the guitars and just everything.
You were saying wigs were important to Dolly, but these are replicas.
Yes, the wigs are replicas. Dolly said if we were going to have wigs on display, they better be perfect. And I said, okay. And the girl that we had do the wigs for the book, Sarah Nicia, she came into Dollywood and put these wigs on display herself, and they are absolutely incredible. They span all the different decades of Dolly. You have the Porter wig, and then the best little Chicken Ranch in Texas wig. And so they're, you know, they're another piece of that little Dolly puzzle, and I'm glad that it came together.
My head's on a swivel. There's so much to see in this room. Show me your favorites and tell me a little bit about this part of the exhibit.
Oh, I mean, I'm so glad that people get to see like a glimpse of what her costume shop looks like, because the making of Dolly is so intricate. I mean, it's like a science. It's physics to get those clothes to fit and do what they're supposed to do. So it's fun. I'm glad that a lot of her makers are getting their glory and being able to have some of that. But my favorite thing is to see things I've worked on. I rhinestoned that dress over there on the right. So it's exciting to, you know, see things that I sweated and cried over. And, you know, it's just exciting to see things that we kind of threw out as an idea, the paper dolls, and have it come to life. I'm so proud of it. I'm so happy that it shows her life, her family, her clothing, and just the different facets of her career. I'm so proud of her, and I'm so proud to do this work. And I hope that people know that it's not just a one and done experience, that we're going to change these clothes out and the different artifacts seasonally. So if they come back at Christmas, they can see some of her Christmas clothes. And then next year, we're going to have a whole different scene of things out for them to see. So it's going to be kind of a growing thing. So I hope people come back again and again and that they love it every time.
Each year, you announce a new attraction, a new investment. You mentioned a new restaurant for next year. What, though, can you tell us about 2025 as far as development?
Well, we'll be using 2025 as a year to celebrate the 40th anniversary season of Dollywood. So you'll see us start talking about it this winter, about what's happening next year with the 40th anniversary. We've expanded parking for next year. Some of this is not real sexy, but we've expanded parking for next year. We're adding a new destination restaurant in the top of the valley, so it'll be in the Wilderness Plaza area of the park. And there'll be a lot of software programming. There'll be a 40th anniversary show that we're doing. There'll be a lot of touch points about the legacy of the park to this point. and then looking forward to what we have in 2026. We have a major attraction in 2026. Nearly $50 million attraction.
Ride.
It's hard. I will tell you, and you'll understand that it is. It's something that no one has ever done before in this particular way. And we're also refurbishing a legacy attraction that we'll be able to celebrate in 2026. So as we continue to grow, as I said, we have multiple resorts still on the grid for us that we're looking to find the right time to be able to build those out. We've looked at a campground as an opportunity, and Eugene and I have both talked about that over the last couple of years. We'll have to see when that slates in the right way. And a lot of different things have to align, as Austin can tell you, depending upon what's going on in the economy and everything else. But our goal, first and foremost, is to take care of the guests, make sure the experience that we have for the guests with whatever it is we're doing is as good as it possibly can be.
I don't want to leave without talking about Harvest Festival and also what you have planned for Christmas. Smoky Mountain Christmas is always a big driver.
Harvest, Great Pumpkin Illuminates and Harvest opened this year earlier than ever before. They open on September the 6th, so it opens right after Labor Day. Earliest we've ever opened that particular festival, and it'll run through the end of October. Super popular, especially Great Pumpkin Illuminates. That was a huge addition for us, excited about it. We've added actually 16 operating days from the time that we open for the festival in the end of the year. And we are adding 6 additional festival days, either in fall or Christmas, so more opportunity for folks to be able to experience festival product. For Christmas, we're bringing back Merry and Bright, the fireworks show that we've done historically. We'll be doing it on weekends, and then the full weekend after Thanksgiving and the week between Christmas and New Year's. We're adding a new area up in Wildwood Grove that we call Snow in the Grove, it'll snow through that area, and we'll be taking advantage of the wildwood tree, and we'll leverage it and the snow and the fireworks in that area as a new opportunity in that area that we haven't done for Christmas before. But really super excited about it. There are 2 most popular festivals of the year.
A busy year ahead, lots to look forward to, and pretty much guaranteed some visits from Dolly herself, being the 40th. But thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us and to hear the storied past and what's ahead.
Definitely a favorite stop in Pigeon Forge.
Thank you, guys.
This episode was shot and edited by Link Hudson. Hollers and Hills is recorded at the Pines in downtown Sevierville. We have more stories and videos on our Hollers and Hills website. Share your Smoky Mountain memory when you log on. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.